I've been looking for an apartment, but I have horrible credit. Cosigning.com helps you get a cosigner that helps you out to get your dream apartment. Don't let your horrible credit get you down. Cosigning.com has changed the game. I got a cosigner quick and easy. I couldn't have asked for a better service.
You know, I've been looking into this story, and I mean, it's disturbing, but I'm looking at it from another angle. Imagine being her husband. You did everything right. You went to school. You graduated. You went to work. You found a woman. You married her. You gave her beautiful children. But you never know what's going on in her mind. For one thing, you can't control her. But another thing is, admittedly, women cannot even control themselves. See, her last name is Nutley. We don't know her maiden last name. Do you know what last name she's dragging through the mud? His. The public shame on his family's name, he's going to have to bear the brunt of it, because now that she's been arrested, charged, and convicted, she's throwing her husband, who actually is the other male victim in this case, under the bus. The other three victims are her three children. Very attractive, pretty woman, but sick. But she's not the only one. A lot of the laws around the country and in other parts of the world are all being changed to compensate for PDF files' existence. They are actually pushed into under the acronym of the alphabet LGTB, elemental QP. We all know what the P stands for. They're now a protected class. And because of that, and because of her gender, she will not be held accountable. Sure, she faces up to 10 years. She will receive probation and a suspended sentence. She will not face any time in jail. They never do. For one thing, for women to be put in prison, the crime must be rather egregious, and it has to be extremely violent for the most part. Now, there are women who they do go to prison for smuggling of drugs, and the thing is, the police play hardball with them because they won't roll over on whichever man in their life that they're working with. So that's when they get jail time, but typically they won't. Women are never held accountable. And this story right here is no different. I'll be honest, if it wasn't for this man's three children that he loves to death, I'm sure he would have probably already considered or attempted to self-delete. Just the embarrassment alone. For the fact is, everyone in their family circle, friend circle, in the state that they live, and then now around the country, everyone knows his last name. They know what he looks like, and they know what his wife did. She's claiming that he neglected her, and the reason that she sought to do this with this one kid. Now, we don't know, there could be other children or other men. Now he has to even question if any of these children are his. When else did she step out? Was he too trusting? Was he too believing in women? Some people say believe all women. I said believe none. Believe zero. Everyone is guilty until proven innocent in the court of the single boyfriend. You got to prove that this is not you. I'm not going to just assume that you're a good person because I know too much. Being a man, I have no choice but to live in reality. Other people can live in a fantasy world where women are just these trustworthy, perfect, infallible people, but I cannot. But what I don't appreciate is the double standards in these laws. And I really don't appreciate how, if this was a man and the shoe was on the other foot, he'd be facing 25 to 50 years, which is basically what is essentially natural life for the exact same crime. But what does this remind you? This reminds you of the fact that men and women are not equal. Okay, then, if men and women are not equal, stop telling us that men and women are equal. We don't want to hear that. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't line up with reality. Men and women are not equal. This case is just further proof. The laws, for example, we're going to do another story after this going over alimony and child support and how in the 1930s it made sense, but in 2025 it doesn't. Actually, since women gained the right to vote and to work, both of those, alimony and child support no longer make sense. And the laws have to change because men are going their own way. Men are walking away from marriage in the United States, and they're walking away from having children with women in the United States on purpose. And you know it's an accident because he'll only have one kid with her and he'll never marry her. You know, everybody knows how weird it is when you meet someone who's an only child. They're weird. No man will purposely create an only child on purpose unless having that kid with that woman altogether was an accident. You know it was on purpose because you'll have more than one child. You look at how many of these women only having one child and then the man is gone. It just shows you how insufferable these women are nowadays and why men are walking away. Again, we don't want business partners. We don't want roommates. We want adult women. But even the court system acknowledges that women are children. You can't punish them, and they're never going to hold themselves accountable. And the fact that she was even allowed to use this as an excuse against her husband is disgusting. Let's go ahead and start the story. This is terrible.
Emily Nutley went from the director of academic services at St. X High School to a convicted felon now facing prison time.
And how would you describe your work career? Long, successful?
Her 18
She describes her career as being long and successful. With her history that is now public knowledge, you still regard your career, the career, while you literally committed this crime at work, you consider your career a success. That just shows you how these women have zero humility at all.
year career came to an end last year after she was indicted on sexual battery charges.
During her employment, specifically on November 19th and December 8th, 2023, she engaged in sexual contact with a student of hers. The student was a 17-year-old male.
Today,
Now, these women, they only get jobs at these schools because they want to have access to children. And we're seeing these women. I don't know if people remember, but I know when I was in school, the teachers were really, really old and really, really not good looking. I never had a pretty young teacher. I never had a pretty young-ish teacher. But now these teachers are getting younger and younger, and there's so many of these cases because it's becoming more and more acceptable. And it shouldn't. This should be reprehensible if you should think about it the way you would think about it if you saw a man doing it. But you don't, because women are children. So people in society naturally see women, all children, as being victims. So they also see women, even when they're the criminal, they're also seen at the same time as the victim. So you're being charged, but you're also being persecuted. You're the offender, but you're also the victim. Do you understand how that will not work in a stable society? There's no way that can make sense, and this hypocrisy can keep going the way it is. Things have to change. The laws have to change. If women are equal, they have to be equal across the board. We cannot pick and choose when we want to acknowledge a woman's equality and only do it when it's convenient for them. That's why alimony and child support have to be things of the past. But yeah, before women could work, that made sense. But now that women can work and can vote, okay, unless you're about to relinquish your right to vote, then you should not receive any assistance. Everybody can work. Just because you're a woman, and you're caught being a pedo, doesn't mean you get a slap on the wrist and you're only facing a max of 10 years. How is that possible? If this was a man, it would be 30 years. How much time did they give R. Kelly? And like I said, I don't even know how many other victims there are. Nobody does. This is only a case that came out last year. You know, but one thing that's crazy about all of this is that these women know the boy eventually is going to tell. There's never been a case where the young man took it to his grave that he was smacking up his teacher that was hot. Boys talk. We are going to tell our friends. We're going to be in the locker room. You send us some pictures. We send them to somebody else. That's what we do. It's a conquest. We want to be celebrated. If you don't tell other people, if you don't have any proof that it happened, then really did it happen? If a tree falls in a forest and you didn't hear it, did it fall? Nobody knows. Did it make a sound? You have to tell people. None of these women are expecting to get away. It's like they want to be caught because they know nothing's going to happen. I don't think she was even trying to get away from this. I don't think she even tried to cover her steps. I'll be honest, I don't think she's remorseful. I don't think she thinks she did anything wrong. And I really think that because of the sisterhood of other pedo women that are on the internet around this country that are now huddled around her, I think that they make her feel better about what happened. And that's why she's saying that her husband is cruel for wanting to divorce her for being a pedo and targeting a little boy. Now, 17 isn't a little boy per se. However, you do have control over him. You have control over his grades. It's not a fair or equal situation. You're not in college. And also, we do have laws for a reason. And I do believe in her state, the age of consent is 18. Because this happened in the state of, let me see here. Let's see here. I forgot. I'm gonna look it up. Sexual battery. Yeah, I'm not seeing what state this is in. Let's see here. What state was this in? Come on, Chat G. Oh, Ohio. And in the state of Ohio, what's the legal age of consent in Ohio? Oh, well, shit, that changes things. In the state of Ohio, the legal age of consent is only 16. So I guess the only reason that she's being charged at all is because she was his teacher. And there is a situation where it says right here, the age of consent doesn't override the laws about abuse of power and authority. That's what I'm saying. Because she was a point of authority above the child, it's kind of like she was using her influence over him. So because of that, that's where the law is broken. But it's not statutory because he was above the age of consent. Which is why Emily Nutley was charged. Since she was a school official and the 17-year-old student was under her care, it qualifies as sexual battery, a felony in the state of Ohio. So even though the student was over the age of consent, the relationship was illegal because of the abuse of power dynamic and responsibilities. That's why it's a crime. But if she wasn't a teacher, she could have done this all day. That's people don't understand that this country is really 50 different countries under one federal umbrella. Every state you go to is different. Some states, let me see here, are 16. Most states are 17. There's only 8 states in the United States where the legal age of consent is 18. Only 8 out of 50. Which I don't know why people don't know that, but people don't understand they don't know the country they live in. I tell people all the time, if you don't understand the laws here and you don't want to respect them, this is a bad place because there's only 2 outcomes for people that don't. Prison or a morgue. If you're not going to follow these rules or if you don't know how to maneuver around them, there's only 2 places you can go. But that's crazy because because it is a power of abuse thing. So it's not even about his age. It's just about the fact that she was an official over him at a school.
For the first time publicly, Nutley admitted to the accusations.
Did you engage in sexual contact with a 17-year-old male on those 2 dates? Each of those are felony third degree. How do you lead us to those two counts?
Investigators say Nutley had been helping the teen with schoolwork, then
She pled guilty.
began having contact with him outside of school hours. They say Nutley sent the teen nude photos and sexually explicit messages.
You know what? Women are no different than men when it comes to this aspect. A lot of women like younger guys. They like teenage boys. They like it's just like a guy, when you're with a woman, you want to be the first guy to ever flew her to Vegas. You want to be the first guy to take her to a steakhouse. You don't want to be the 15th guy she's been to this place with, or someone else already did it with her before you. And that's like, it just makes it so that it's horrible. You want to be that first person they ever did it with. But usually it's men who want to be the first for women. But when women get to a certain point in life, it seems like they turn into men kind of, and they want to be the first that a man has certain experiences with. I mean, here she is sending pictures, knowing that can be tracked and traced in database, knowing that can be shared around between friends, and you're still going to do it because she has no fear of accountability, because she won't be held accountable. There will be excuse after excuse and even more excuse. I'll be honest. She pretty much has just as much privilege when it comes to this as a black person. Any excuse will go to skirt around whatever crime was committed. Yeah, I killed those men, but because of white supremacy, I'm actually a victim of the death because even though those people are gone now, and I'm still here because what I did to them because of white supremacy, I'm actually a victim. Women have the same thing. The good thing is that scam, that hustle that people run is going to come to an end soon because common sense is being restored to all of our systems. Crazy. Just the double standards are just unbelievable.
Began to have a sexual relationship with the teen, both on and off school property. Today, Judge Jennifer Branch accepted Nutley's change of plea and convicted her of the 2 felonies.
Do you agree to accept whatever penalty I impose up to the maximum? Yes, sir.
Just so you know, she's not done. There will be another guy. She might wait until he's 18, or she'll eventually try to get another job working somewhere near or around children. She can't help herself. She doesn't want a 30-year-old man with a good job and some money. She doesn't want a 21-year-old. She wants teenagers, and that's going forward. There's no way she went through all of that and can just cold turkey no longer be a pedo. If you watch those interviews when they interview pedos and they talk to them and whatever, this is not just an addiction. It's how they're wired. And not doing it is more of them playing a role and then them pretending that they don't want to do it. And they just can't keep it up. She doesn't feel any remorse. She's not crying. She still thinks she looks good, which I guess for her age, she does. And that's another problem with, some people feel they look too good and they can just do whatever. But you know what? If this is what's going to get her off from being charged and having to sit in prison, then I guess your looks and your appearance are going to play in your favor. Again, another double standard for women that men wish that we had.
And Nutley will be sentenced June 10th. She faces anywhere from probation up to a maximum of 10 years in prison. She will also have to register as a sex offender.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only part that's the only punishment she's going to get is that she's going to have to register. But if you're a pretty woman, you can manipulate men to doing things for you. You can manipulate a man to getting you an apartment. Then you don't got to tell people that you're, an offender, an SA offender. You don't have to, you can convince a man to get you a car and to give you money based on sympathy. So you don't actually have to deal with the real world. You can just, depending on how good you look as a woman, you can just live life on easy mode if you know how to play your cards right. So yeah, she's going to be registered, but no one's going to know. She's not going to fill out another application. She doesn't have to. Also, if she pushes forward with this victimhood thing, that saying that her husband was very cruel to her, and if she can prove that he was abusive, which she's going to claim, she might be able to survive off of alimony money. Hopefully he can use this conviction to get full custody of the children so he doesn't have to pay child support. But that's not a guarantee. These courts are biased in favor of women because men and women are not equal. Women are children. And that's why the courts understand that, and they treat them as such. They give them a smack on the wrist. You catch a child who's in jail for unaliving somebody, and they only can stay in jail until they're 18. And then they're let out because they're children, and everyone feels sorry for children. It's rare that they're charged as adults. And this woman right here was not charged as an adult. So look, follow the page, share, like, subscribe the video. We'll be back we got a couple of the topics we're going to talk about today. So we'll be back on shortly, and follow our sponsor, cosigning.com. If you're looking to move into a new place, but you don't have a friend or a family member willing to be your cosigner, contact them today and they'll match you with someone so they can move you into your dream home. Thank you, and we'll talk to you again shortly.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.